Everyone quiet down. Dad clinked his fork to the glass, wearing that smug half-smile he saves for public cruelty. Before we cut the cake, a quick family update. Your granddaughter's college fund will be put to better use, helping her uncle clear a little debt. Family first, right? There was a ripple of laughter from the cousins who always laugh when told. My brother lifted his glass like he was being knighted. Someone yelled, "Speech," and my daughter's fingers tightened around the diploma-shaped cake topper until the plastic bent. The sound inside me wasn't angry. It was hollow, like a door slowly closing. My girl blinked too fast, the way she does when she's trying not to cry in mascara. The backyard lights hummed. Balloons nudged each other like eavesdroppers. The banner read "Congratulations, Maya" in gold letters, and for a second the G in "Congratulations" wavered in my vision like it might peel off and fall. Hi everyone, my name is Lila Hart, and people think I fold when men raise their voices. I don't fold. I press the crease and make it permanent. I breathed through my nose, steady and slow, counting the cinnamon in the air from Mom's store-bought pie masquerading as homemade. Dad raised both palms as if he were a generous king. "It's not a debate," he said, the way he said it when he decided I didn't need a wedding he wouldn't pay for, or when he told me a single mother should be grateful for any chair at the table, preferably one at the far end. Maya's nail dug a crescent moon into my wrist. "Mom," she whispered. "I know, baby." I turned to Dad. "You mean the account you signed as trustee for? The fund I created when she was 9 and sold my grandmother's earrings to start? The one you said was our legacy?" My smile was soft as linen. "You mean the account I closed last month?" Chairs scraped. A cousin choked on a grape. My brother set his glass down like it had betrayed him. Dad's eyebrows rose, theatrically offended. "You closed. Don't be ridiculous." "Check," I said almost kindly. "Right now." He scoffed, but his hand was already in his pocket. The yard went quiet except for the insect choir and the faint hiss of the tiki torch. He thumbed open his banking app with the cocky speed of a man certain the universe is always on his side. The screen threw cold light up his face, washing the tan from his cheeks, showing every small lie he'd ever told in blue-white pixels. His smile held. Then it didn't. The moment his smile cracked, the backyard fell silent. You could hear the wind tugging at the cheap paper plates. My brother froze mid-laugh, eyes darting between Dad's phone and my face like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. Dad's fingers twitched, scrolling fast. The light from the screen trembled across his hand. This must be a mistake," he muttered. "You wouldn't dare." "Oh, I would," I said softly. And I did. The fund was in my name. Trustee or not, you were only there for the illusion of control. Mom's hand flew to her chest like she was in a church pew. "Lila, how could you do that without telling us? How could you announce theft at my daughter's graduation party?" I asked. My voice was calm, but it had that quiet edge that cuts cleaner than shouting. Maya stood still, clutching her diploma like a shield. "Mom, what's happening?" she whispered. I touched her arm. "What's happening," I said, "is that your college fund is safe. Safer than it's ever been." Dad's jaw clenched. "You think you're clever? You embarrassed this family in front of everyone." "No, Dad," I said. "You did that when you tried to auction off my child's future to pay for your son's gambling." Gasps fluttered through the crowd. My brother's face flushed red. "It's not gambling, it's investments," he snapped. I tilted my head. "Then maybe your investors can pay your debt." A chair scraped behind us. Someone coughed, unsure whether to stay or flee. The family's favorite act, the United Front, was unraveling on stage. Dad's hand trembled as he set his phone down on the table beside the untouched cake. "We'll talk about this privately," he hissed. I looked straight at him. "No. We've done privately before. Privately means silence. This time we do it where everyone can see." The flame on the tiki torch popped, sending a spark into the night. It floated bright for a second, then died midair, just like the last shred of his authority. And in that fading light, I saw the first flicker of fear in his eyes. Dad's fear came out sideways, disguised as rage. "You ungrateful girl," he snapped, voice cracking like dry wood. "After everything I've done for you." I almost laughed. "You mean the lectures or the loans you made me sign in your name?" The relatives stared at their plates. Nobody wanted to be the next casualty of honesty. Mom's lips trembled, she still looked at Dad for permission to breathe. My brother folded his arms, muttering, "You always think you're smarter than everyone." Maya stepped a little closer to me. Her chin lifted just slightly, but I saw the child who used to hide behind my legs when the shouting started. Only this time she didn't hide. "Grandpa," she said quietly, "that money was mine." He turned to her like she'd committed treason. "You don't talk to me like that, young lady." "She can," I said. "Because she earned that fund with grades and scholarships and weekends spent tutoring other kids instead of partying like your golden boy." My brother scoffed, but his hands were shaking. "You don't know what real responsibility is, Lila. You've never carried a family." "Oh, I have," I said. "Just not the one that breaks people to feel important." Someone whispered my name, maybe Mom, maybe one of the cousins. But I didn't turn. I kept my eyes on Dad, the man who taught me that control is a form of love, if you say it loudly enough. "You taught me something tonight," I said softly. "You always claimed you were protecting me from mistakes. But maybe you just wanted to own them." His face tightened, veins visible under the porch light. The silence was heavy, not empty but full of realization. Everyone had always known the truth. They just needed someone to say it out loud. Then Maya's voice broke the stillness again. "Mom," she whispered, "can we go home now?" I nodded, my throat tight. "Yes, baby." Dad's voice followed us like static. "You'll regret this." I turned back once, the night cool against my skin. "I already did," I said. "But not anymore." The torches hissed behind us and the air felt cleaner than it had in years. The tires hummed against the road, steady and low, like a heartbeat I could finally hear. Maya sat beside me, the glow from her diploma case flickering in her lap. Neither of us spoke for the first 10 minutes. The world outside blurred, dark trees, quiet houses, porch lights blinking like tiny witnesses to our escape. I could still taste the sweetness of the cake we never cut, mixed with the bitter air of humiliation. "Not mine, theirs." "Mom," Maya finally said, voice small but sharp, "did you know he'd do that?" I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Not at her graduation," I whispered. "But I knew someday he'd try." She looked at me, eyes glistening in the passing light. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since you were 15, I said. "When Grandpa borrowed from the fund for your uncle's car and promised to replace it. He never did. So I moved it little by little until it was safe." Her silence was heavy but not angry. It was the kind that wraps you, the sound of something rebuilding. "I'm proud of you," she said suddenly. It hit me harder than any accusation ever had. I swallowed the lump in my throat, watching the white lines glide beneath the headlights. "I just didn't want you to learn the way I did, that love and power don't belong in the same sentence." At a red light, I caught our reflections in the glass. Her eyes young and bright, mine tired but steady. We looked nothing alike and everything alike at once. "Mom," she whispered, "are they going to hate us now?" "They already did," I said softly. "They just pretended it was love." The light turned green, washing the windshield in color. When we reached home, I parked in silence, the sound of cicadas loud in the night. I handed her the small silver key to the lockbox, the one that now held her entire college fund. "This is yours," I said. "And no one will ever announce what belongs to you again." She hugged me tight, the kind of hug that feels like forgiveness. Somewhere behind that, I heard the echo of Dad's voice, and knew this wasn't over yet. It came at 12:37 a.m., 3 short knocks, sharp and familiar. Maya was asleep, her door slightly open, the soft glow of fairy lights brushing her face. I stepped into the hallway barefoot, the wood cold under my feet. Another knock, louder this time. I didn't need to check the peephole. I already knew. When I opened the door, Dad stood there in his pressed shirt, as if he hadn't just humiliated us 6 hours earlier. Mom hovered behind him, eyes red, still wearing her pearls like armor. "Lila," Dad said flatly. "We need to talk." I crossed my arms. "You had your speech earlier. It didn't go well." He pushed past me like it was still his house, like nothing ever changed. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You think you can take what's family property and run." I didn't raise my voice. "That fund was in my name. It was her future. Not collateral for your son's failures." Mom spoke up then, voice trembling. "Sweetheart, please. Your father only did what was necessary. Your brother is a grown man with 3 maxed credit cards and a leased Mercedes," I cut in. "Stop calling irresponsibility a phase." Dad's jaw tightened. You've always been dramatic. This is why no one takes you seriously. I laughed quietly. Funny, the bank did. He blinked. I moved the money into a certificate under Maya's name, I said. Legally it's locked. You can't touch it. His face reddened. You think you've outsmarted me? I think I've learned from you, I said. You taught me to always be one step ahead, remember? The clock ticked behind us like a metronome to his defeat. Mom's voice broke. Please don't destroy this family. I looked at her, softening just a little. Mom, families destroy themselves when they choose silence over truth. Dad's voice dropped to a hiss. You'll regret this, Lila. I stepped closer, met his eyes and whispered, I already did. But this time you will too. He didn't slam the door when he left. He just stood there, silent, the sound of a man realizing his power no longer worked. By morning the family group chat was on fire. Dozens of messages, all variations of Lila, how could you? And your father's heart can't take this. No one mentioned what he'd done. No one ever did. They treated my silence as betrayal and his betrayal as tradition. I scrolled once, then muted them all. At breakfast, Maya sat across the table eating cereal from the bowl she'd painted in 4th grade. Chipped, imperfect, but hers. They're blowing up my phone too, she said, pushing it toward me. Texts from cousins I hadn't heard from in years. You humiliated Grandpa. Couldn't you just talk privately? I sighed. They only see the surface. That's how they survive. Maya looked at me for a long moment. What happens now? I stirred my coffee, watching the swirl of cream fade into brown. Now, we let them feel the silence they used to demand from us. At noon my brother showed up. No warning, just the roar of his car in the driveway. He didn't even knock, walked in like always. You think this is funny? He snapped. Dad's blood pressure shot up. He's talking about cutting you out of the will. I looked up from my laptop. He already did that 10 years ago. Remember when I refused to co-sign your business loan? That was the day I stopped being useful. He laughed bitterly. You're just jealous. I'm still the favorite. You can have that title, I said. It's come with too much interest. His jaw flexed, a mirror of Dad's. You're ruining everything. No, I said quietly. I'm ending a cycle. He glared, but the confidence wasn't there anymore. You'll regret this when he's gone. I held his stare. I regret every time I let him make me small. That debt's already paid. He left without another word, tires screeching down the street. Maya came out from her room, eyes wide. Was that Uncle Ben? Yeah, I said softly. The last storm before calm. And for the first time in years the house actually felt like ours. Not borrowed space, not guilt-wrapped silence. Just air. Just peace. 3 days passed before the envelope appeared. No postage, no name, just my father's handwriting across the front. For Lila. It sat on the porch like a final test I hadn't agreed to take. Maya saw it first. Should I throw it away? She asked. I hesitated, then shook my head. No. We face things now. Inside, the letter was written in his old fountain pen ink. The one he only used for contracts and control. Lila, you've embarrassed me beyond measure. You made me look weak in front of the family. But I see now you've grown too bold to be guided. You've ruined the trust that bound us. If you just stayed quiet, things could have been simple. Dad. No, love. No, yours. Just authority disguised as disappointment. I folded it once, then again, until it was small enough to fit inside the jar of sea glass Maya and I collected years ago. The pieces clinked, catching light. Fragments of something once whole. That night Mom called. Her voice was small, careful. He's not well, she whispered. He keeps staring at his phone like it betrayed him. You could fix this, you know. I already did, I said. I fixed the part that mattered. She sighed, the sound of a woman still trapped in his echo. You always think you're the hero. No, I said gently. I just stopped being the villain in his story. After I hung up, I sat by the window. The moonlight slid over the letter jar, turning the glass blue and soft. Maya joined me quietly, wrapped in her blanket. Mom, she whispered, what if he never forgives you? I looked at her and smiled, the kind that comes from truth, not victory. Then I finally did something worth not forgiving. Outside, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves against the porch rail. Each sound felt like a goodbye I hadn't known I needed. And somewhere in that quiet I realized, revenge wasn't about taking back money. It was about reclaiming peace. But peace, like trust, demands proof. And mine was coming soon. A week later, Dad called. His voice was thinner, stripped of its armor. Lila, he began, your brother's in trouble again. The collectors came to the house. I need to transfer some assets before things get ugly. I said nothing for a moment. The kettle hissed behind me, the sound soft but steady, like an exhale I'd been holding too long. And you're calling me because? He hesitated. Because you're the only one who understands how to fix things. There it was, the old manipulation dressed as flattery. But this time I didn't bite. I can't fix what you keep breaking, I said calmly. But I can make sure Maya never inherits the wreckage. Don't talk to me like I'm the enemy, he snapped. I sighed. Then stop acting like one. There was silence, not the kind he used to control a room but the kind that admitted defeat. That evening I met with the family's financial attorney, the same man Dad had used for years. I handed him the papers I'd been preparing since that night at the party. Transfer everything under my daughter's name, I said. College, trust, house equity. I want it airtight. He nodded slowly. Your father won't like this. He doesn't have to, I said. He just has to watch. A month later, the announcement came. My brother's debts had swallowed the last of Dad's business shares. For the first time he'd lost control, not just of the money but of the narrative. When he showed up at my door again, he didn't speak. He just looked at Maya, in her college sweatshirt, laughing at the table, and something in him softened then broke. He whispered, she reminds me of you. I met his gaze. I hope so. He turned to leave, shoulders lower than I'd ever seen. I closed the door gently, not out of anger but closure. For the first time I didn't feel like the rebel daughter. I felt like the parent my child deserved. Outside, the wind carried away the last echoes of his authority. And inside we finally exhaled.